Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to JVS Toronto's Bridges to Career Success Newcomer Mentorship and Hiring event. I'm so glad you could all join us today. My name is Allison Steinberg, and I'm the very proud CEO at JVS Toronto. We are excited today to have participants joining us from all over the world and from across Canada. Whether you're preparing to arrive or have already started your journey here, you are in the right place. This event is truly unique. It brings together employers, community organizations, and dedicated mentors, all working collaboratively to support newcomers as they build meaningful careers in Canada. Today's session is particularly special. We are joined by Dhaval Vediya, who's a senior director at CIBC, who will be sharing his personal newcomer journey and the path that led him to a successful leadership role in the Canadian financial sector. At JVS Toronto, we are proud to have been working alongside CIBC to support newcomers, and we are grateful to them for sponsoring this event. I would also like to acknowledge and thank our funder, Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, whose continued support makes this work possible. This session is about learning from those who have walked this path before, and we hope that Dhaval's story inspires you and equips you with valuable insight for your own journey. Let me start by introducing Dhaval. So Dhaval Vediya is a senior director at CIBC, where he leads strategy, business management, and communications for the personal banking products and payment team. With over 15 years of experience in financial services and telecom, he is known for driving growth through strategic vision, inclusive leadership, and dependable execution. Dhaval co-leads CIBC's International Professionals Network, supporting thousands of refugees, immigrants, and international students internally within the bank and externally. He is a mechanical engineer, chartered marketer, MBA, and co-chair of the Canadian Marketing Association's B2B Council. Passionate about community impact, Dhaval has also served in leadership roles with grassroots organizations like ICHRA and GPAC. Dhaval, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Allison. Thanks for the awesome introduction as well.
Yeah, so we're thrilled to have you here. And I just really have a few questions for you that I'd like to ask so that you can share a little bit about your experiences as a newcomer and kind of how you've managed to kind of progress in your career and get where you are today. Awesome. So if you don't mind starting, could you please share, a little bit about your background and immigration journey to Canada? And, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced as a newcomer trying to enter the job market?
For sure. So this is like I'm dating myself, but I came in Canada when it was 2005. So it was January of 21st of January 2005, and I landed in Toronto Pearson Airport. I started from Ahmedabad, which is my hometown in Gujarat, and then took a plane to Mumbai, and then Mumbai, it was 35 degrees plus, and I came here and it was minus 35. So I always tell this story because I felt like I don't have my ears, I did not have my nose anymore because I felt that it was so cold. Never thought of minus 35 degrees is real. So I'll start with my background. So I did my engineering back in India as well as an MBA in marketing management. And then I did 6 years of professional journey over there. I worked in an American company called Ingersoll Rand and then a local company called Syntex before I arrived here. So I had all India marketing, sales, and production as my portfolio. So I was kind of a profit center head, working with 24 direct reports, through almost 600 channel partners. And we had offices all across India. And then we decided, me and my wife, to move to Canada for maybe better prospects and better future. So that is when we applied around in 2002-3, and that is when it took 2 to 3 years to get the immigration process done. After landing in Canada, I felt that I have been doing so much over there, and I would definitely get something similar in Canada. So totally wrong. Like Canadian experience, that word was real. I applied 1,500 jobs, and I was not able to get one specific job in whatever I applied. I got 6 interviews, which was a positive, and wherever I went, it was Dhaval, you don't have either the Canadian experience or you're too overqualified. So at the end of the day, like I still started working in a call center where it was a timeshare, which is what we were selling. Like you might have received calls saying you have won a trip to Hawaii. So that was probably me long years back.
I think maybe I spoke to you.
Yeah. So, but what I think it is positive because even though I studied in an English medium school back in India, it was difficult to sometimes understand some of the accents here. So this call center gave me, because I called 150 people from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, because most of them hang up, but many of them do talk. But in the meantime, I also found a job at TELUS, which was the first big company I started with. It was a role through an agency, but it was an admin assistant role. The reason why I got that role was because I knew Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. So that is where like my journey started. I ended up shredding paper, doing filing, all that kind of stuff. But when you get this kind of a role and you show your work ethic, you work hard, people will see it. And so that happened with my boss. She saw that I'm working hard and she recommended me into a call center role, which was more like a permanent role. So that was my first full-time role, which was a call center within the TELUS network. And it is where the journey started.
Right. That's great. And I think, as you know, many of our attendees today are also skilled professionals, and you answered a little bit of this, but what would you say really kind of, helped you get your foot in the door? And, what is some advice that you can give on approaching your first job in Canada?
I would say, Allison, that you have to have a funnel. So nowadays, like it's even easier, faster. You have AI, you have lots of different tools, which doesn't make you write your resume 1,500 times to get to, and then also a cover letter 1,500 times. So for me, it took a long time. And sometimes I also did not pay that much attention to details versus now you can do it in a better way. So with my time during 2005 and now, I think things have changed quite a bit. And the job market also has been a little bit better than earlier. Like earlier, like if I wanted to find a marketing job, it was not possible. So I would say the real opportunity normally is not through applying online. Sometimes you also need conversations. So for me, like when you start, so I started in this admin assistant role, and then I was talking to my bosses, I was talking to people around. I did around maybe 20 different coffee chats with people who I knew, people who I did not know, and it helped me. So that is where the first thought came that maybe if I want to go back to my marketing, I need to probably do something different. And that is where like this coffee chat helped me to get that first role into the call center. And then after doing that for a little while, I was again, like I got a person to tell me that you should now get out of this call center and get into something better. You have a good degree, you are a skilled professional. Why don't you try something different? And so I started doing networking. LinkedIn was one of the best tools ever. Like I think I'm in the first 200,000 LinkedIn users, and that helped me so much. So at that time, I did not know many people. People still feel shy of sending requests to people, asking them to join their network. I was relentless. I was shameless, I would say, at some point, because even if I did not know Allison, but if I saw her speaking in, say, one of the events, I would just send her a request. Now, if she signs up, it's to my blessing. But if not, then I will try again next time.
Yeah.
So it worked out. Today, I have around 8,000 to 9,000 LinkedIn connections, and that helps many others who are looking for jobs. So I feel like if you took a very deliberate approach and if you try to do conscious networking and you're prepared when you go and network, I think that is where it changes the mindset of people who you are talking to. They also see what you're capable of, and then you have to do it consistently.
Yeah.
Because people forget that that one meeting which you have is not going to like give you a job next day. It might open up doors. Like I'll give you an example of my career. Like I've had roller coaster ride in my career as well. So I was applying for a role which was not perfect to my one liking and also to my experiences. But I still applied because I wanted a job at that time.
Yeah.
And so the person looked at me and was like, Dhaval, you really don't have this experience. I'm looking for somebody like this, and you're not at all that. So I just told her that, yes, I am not the right person, probably, but do you have anybody in your network who can help me? She gave me 4 different job openings, and I got one of them. So that's how it works. Like you never know. You have to be honest to yourself. You have to be resilient. You have to be humble, and you just relentlessly show your work ethic. And I think it works. It worked for me, so it will work for
Yeah.
you as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great advice. To move on a little bit to just talk a little bit about workplace culture and adaptation. I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about how you adjusted to Canadian workplace culture and what might have surprised you the most about working in a corporate environment like CIBC.
So I would say it's always tough to get from one culture to the other, right? Every culture has its own ways of thinking, own ways of speaking, talking, and even the hierarchies which you look at. So when I was in India, probably the hierarchy is like you don't go to your boss's boss directly. Like you cannot just go and approach them. Indirect communication is what surprised me as well. So in many cultures, we tend to be more blunt, like more hierarchical. And in Canada, what I saw in the workplaces, especially in CIBC and TELUS, Rogers, there is like, I learned the importance of diplomacy. Like you basically have to connect with people. You have to make sure that you are talking to everybody. You are inviting collaboration. And that is something which is key. I still remember early in my career, I was in a meeting where a decision was to be made. I was ready to act like, but instead, it took time to get inputs from all the stakeholders, including those who are not in the room. At first, my initial thought is like, oh, this is very inefficient. Like, why are we just waiting? We know the answer. We know exactly what to do. But over time, what I've seen is I saw that this is perfect example of inclusion, and it builds buy-in. It makes your decisions better because you never know there's a perspective which comes from a different angle which you never thought of. So I feel like CIBC's culture, especially in the recent years, what I've seen, it has emphasized psychological safety. And as a leader now, I do my best to foster that environment. Make sure that you, as a leader, like you should listen more than you speak. And I definitely do that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great insight. And so for people who, may already be here, may not be here yet, but are in the midst of this journey, what would you say are some of the soft skills or, workplace behaviors that they need, that are especially important for them to understand or develop in order to kind of join the workforce in Canada?
Yeah, that's an awesome question, Allison. I think sometimes, or not sometimes, most of the times, we forget the soft skills. And they are very, very important. Like, I think, I'll give you an example. Like, my first week or two into the job, and they had like a team event, and they were ordering a pizza. And I really did not think about like going and attending that. And so my boss is like, hey, you have to come. You don't have a choice. So that's where like if you also need people like my boss Tracy at that time and Elizabeth, who were really very good to me including me into those kind of meetings. And then when I went and this is funny, like the first pizza, because see, like in 2005, there were no pepperoni pizzas anywhere in India at that time. So I'm a vegetarian, so I felt it's tomatoes to be like, and my boss knew that I was vegetarian because we had spoken about it. And I was about to take a slice, and she's like, "Dhaval, aren't you vegetarian?" I'm like, "Yes, isn't this tomatoes?"
That's so funny.
They all like mocked me so much for like I was kind of the bullied person for almost a month because I did not know the difference. But jokes apart, like soft skills are very important. I'll rate 3 top ones. The first one is communication.
Yeah.
So we have to speak with clarity and empathy. It's not just what you say, it's how you make others feel. That is very important. Second one is initiative, because many times, like different culture, like you are told what to do, versus in Canada, that doesn't work. Yeah. You volunteer, you propose, you participate, and your leaders will notice that. I've done that all across my career. Like I did volunteering starting from TELUS to even today. Like I do so much volunteering that you don't have hierarchies because of that. Yeah. And the last one is cultural intelligence. So being aware of how others think, work, and communicate. Because sometimes there are people who will never speak up. And as a leader, as a person in a team meeting, like you definitely need to make sure that you are doing everything to make that person also participate. And that adaptability makes you a stronger teammate. So I would say like these 3 are the top ones which I normally rate for any kind of soft skill. Everybody and anybody should be having when they are in Canada, because that will help you not only to get a job, find a job, but also tomorrow when you get into the workforce, you will then be able to progress easily and faster.
Yeah, and that's really helpful because I think those are the kinds of things that sometimes you don't see until you get there, right? And so hearing that from someone who's gone through your experience, I think is very helpful to people who are in the midst of that job search process now, or who might have just entered into a job and are, looking for some of those nuances and recognizing some of the things like you talked about. So I think that's extremely helpful. You talked a little bit already about the importance of networking and building that network. But what advice would you give to someone who is feeling a little bit intimidated to reach out to professionals or to join networking events now that they're in a new country?
Yeah, I know like some places, even today, like sometimes I feel that I don't do a good job networking. And I think I see a lot of people. So in my international professional network, which I co-chair, there are lots of people who are very shy of getting out of their shell and coming out and doing mentoring, or seeking mentorship, or trying to do, I would say, conscious kind of networking. So my advice would be anybody and everybody needs to network. Anybody and everybody needs a mentor in their life.
Yep.
I'll say when I started at TELUS, my boss then was Tracy, who literally told me that you have to speak up. Like I was so shy of speaking up because I always felt that maybe I'm not speaking the right dialect, or my accent is not good enough, or something or the other. Never think like that. The advice she gave me, I still keep it with me, and I make sure that any newcomer to Canada, I'm making sure that they also believe in themselves. And she believed in me before even I believed myself. So I felt she was very important. Then there was another gentleman named Michael Jung, who was my boss. He challenged me, and he took me into a meeting room, which is called a war zone, or like it was called a war room. And it was where we decided the pricing for all the products at TELUS. And I think it was my first day at the job, he takes me to that meeting, and it's all VPs, directors, and I'm like a senior product specialist or that was my role. And he told right there that from next Monday or next Thursday, whatever the day was, Dhaval is going to present. And I'm like literally I had like shivers, my legs were trembling, thinking about like, oh, this is like such a big meeting. How am I going to do that? But because he threw me into the waters, I learned how to swim. And the first meeting I presented, I did not sleep the whole night, but I did a good job at the end, and everybody liked what I did. So I did that for 1.5 years after, and
Yeah.
that also gave me a lot of help in my career. And now at CIBC, I have a gentleman called John Ferrin, who is my mentor, along with Rahul and Fong. They helped me to realize that you can think bigger, you can grow faster. And that is where I think they helped me to trust myself more so. And because they see my volunteering work, they help me in making things even work for my own progress. And I think today I try to pay forward through the mentoring programs, through IPN, through TRIAC, through JVS, through Jumpstart, all those organizations who we work with. We try to make sure that we provide mentors from CIBC. And with this 3,000 employees who we have, who are immigrants and international professionals, they also pay it forward by creating that space where people can share, learn, and grow together.
Yeah, and that's so important. I think that regardless of where you get in your career, the importance of mentors continues, right? So at the beginning, it's important to kind of help you build that network to get into the job market, and then it is something that continues on to build your growth and your leadership within your career. So yeah, the role of mentors is incredibly, incredibly important. So thank you for sharing that and also doing what you do in paying it forward and providing that mentorship to others. So as someone who has grown into a senior leadership role, and you've touched on this a little bit, can you share what qualities or habits you believe contributed to your long-term success in Canada?
Oh, okay. Now I have to think more. But thank you for asking so many insightful questions, because they are now bringing my 20 years or 22 years of my journey, thinking about what I've done and what I've done well versus what I've really goofed up. So the three major qualities I would talk about is reliability. So if I commit to something, I will follow through on time with care, and that helps me build the trust. So my boss or my support managers or anybody around me, like they will definitely look at me and say that this guy is reliable, and I can depend on him if he has said something. I'll be very straight. If I am not able to help, then I'll let them know in advance or maybe at the same point. Otherwise, I won't be telling them I'll help you, and then 3 days, 10 days later, when I really am close to the timeline or deadline, I won't go back and say I won't help you. Even I'll go a little bit farther if I need to. So reliability is key, I think, for the leadership positions. Curiosity is the other thing. So I feel like I'm always learning, whether it's marketing trends, whether it's people leadership, whether it's product marketing, whether it's product, or whether it's strategy, whether it's business management or communication. Like in my career, like I've done so many different roles where I've challenged myself at each and every point of time. And curiosity is one piece that I do ask many questions to my team as well as to within the team meetings, so that I can learn. And there's no age for learning. Like this is when I was doing my second MBA at Ryerson here. I met one person, I forgot her name now, but she was my classmate. She was 75 years old and she was doing an MBA with me. And I remember, and she had her own business. Like she really did not need to do it. But she is like, no, I want to learn. And I promised my mom that I will learn and I'll get a master's degree. And here I am. So I was so
Wow.
proud of her. And her questions, even at that age, she was so curious to learn that the professors would really have a hard time to answer some of those questions because they had experience behind her.
Yeah.
So the curiosity is the other thing. And the last one is empathy. So I have always walked the path of a newcomer. That lens has shaped how I lead, whether it's championing reflection rooms at CIBC or creating mentorship spaces. Like I bring heart to leadership. Um, we all like lead from brain. Of course, that is required because that's how the shareholders are going to be happy. But I feel that when you bring the heart to work and your whole self to work, and CIBC and TELUS and Rogers, they do help to do that. And then when you do this type of leadership, I think there's no way you can be behind. So I'm not afraid to do the hard work. I work weekends if I need to. I led major pivots and I say yes to the roles others would have literally passed on. So that hustle mindset paired with patience is what's helped me thrive here in Canada.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for that. And I have one really final question, and that's, if you have one piece of advice that you could offer to newcomers today who are, many of whom are on the call, who are dreaming of building a meaningful and successful career in Canada, regardless of the fields, what would that one very important piece of advice be?
I would say, so I've seen lots of people who say, oh, I see this job opening and only 4 things on this things out of the 10 is what I know. So I'll just pass it. I'm like, no, think more. Try to push yourself to learn and understand what else can you bring to the table. It's not that those, like if out of the 10, if the recruiter really had the 10 out of 10, and then your resume would be matched and you would get the job. Like there'll be that one person who will do it. But it's not like that. My advice is show up fully, even when you are unsure. Start where you are, use what you have, and stay open. Focus less on the perfect opportunity which you will be getting, which is kind of never going to happen. Like there is always imperfection in the perfection you have. Like we talk about perfect marriage. I don't think there is any except mine, but because my wife is probably going to listen to this one. But there is not a perfect opportunity which is going to be available. And so more on becoming the person who's ready when it comes for you. So be that person, show up fully, bring your heart, your whole self to work. And don't forget your story, your resilience, and your culture. They're all your strengths. They are not obstacles. So bring them with you. Canada needs what you bring on the table or to the table, and not just bringing your fake self to work. Like you have to bring your whole self to work, which will then craft your journey, and everybody else is going to see it. Like if you see my team today, I have different kinds of people on the table, and we make sure that we have opinions from each and every person. It has been a woman, it has been a newcomer, it has been a Black person, it has been an Indigenous person. Everybody is on the team. So you can have those experiences from different perspectives, and that makes the best team ever. So I would say newcomers, Canada is a land of opportunities, and give the best and you will get the best.
That's great advice and a great way to end, I think, our conversation. So, really, what better way to end on? So, I just want to, give a heartfelt thank you to you, Dhaval, for sharing your story and also some great insights for newcomers. And I also want to thank everyone for being part of this inspiring conversation today. So to all of our newcomer and pre-arrival participants, I hope today gave you a renewed sense of confidence and direction. As you move forward in your own journey, I would like to leave you with a few key reminders. Stay open to learning, both formally and informally. Every experience helps you understand Canadian workplace culture just a little bit better. Ask for help. Don't hesitate to reach out to mentors, to peers, or to community organizations like JVS Toronto. You are not alone. Build your network, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Connections often open doors before resumes do. And finally, believe in the skills and experience you bring. And as we just heard from Dhaval, be your authentic self. And remember that your background is not a barrier, but it's an asset. So at JVS Toronto, we are here to support you every step of the way, whether that be through mentorship, through building employer connections or training. We are proud to walk alongside you as you build your future in Canada. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you all at our upcoming sessions.